Hi there everyone, my name's Dave West. I hope we're all doing well. So to help make most of the time that we're all spending at home due to these various lockdowns all over the world, I thought I would share how I edit my photos that you may have seen me share on social media. A few people in the past have asked how I achieve the overall look of my photos, so I thought what better opportunity to share that and show you how I do it. Now in these videos I'm not going to overcomplicate things and feature blast everyone with all of these different functions. I usually stick to the basics with editing because you can overdo it and basically spoil the actual image and it ends up looking worse than what it actually did when you took the photo. So if you've got any questions about anything you see in the video, then please do let me know in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as possible. So for today's video I'm going to be concentrating on using Adobe Lightroom Mobile. I also use Snapseed, which you can see just here, and I also use Visco, although I don't use it as much as the other two. But for today's video, I'm going to be concentrating on using Lightroom Mobile. So if you've never used Lightroom Mobile before, it's a very comprehensive editing tool. You can make it as easy or as complicated as you want, but I think it's a really good tool in helping you achieve a really good look for your mobile photos. So first of all then, we just need to import a photo from my camera roll into the application. So to do that, down in the right hand corner here you'll have an import tool which is just next to the camera icon. So if you click on that, and then this will give you access to your device folders, and you just need to go to your camera roll and find the image that you want to edit. So you can basically import as many photos as you want. It will take a little bit of time the more you add, but for today's video, we're just going to be concentrating on one photo, which is this one here. So I took this one yesterday, and I just walked straight into the garden. You just see it pop into the Lightroom gallery there. I just took a photo of some of the leaves on the hydrangea plants at the front of the garden. So one of the most important things before you think about any kind of editing is to make sure you compose and frame your shots correctly, and leave a bit of wiggle room so you can crop in or reframe later on. If you go in a bit too tight, you can end up with a very restricted photo which only allows you really room to play with things like colour and things like that. But by leaving a bit of space around the edge of the photo, it allows you to crop in and get some further details later on. So this was shot with the OnePlus 7 Pro, and immediately I can see that the photo is a little bit crazy on colour. The leaves aren't actually that colour to the naked eye. So what I want to do is make it look a bit more authentic, but also have a bit more focus on one area of the image rather than all of this scene that you can see here. So with Adobe Lightroom Mobile then, you've got a number of tools on the right hand side of the screen here. So you've got lighting, color, detail, and then you've got some other tools here like sharpening, and that just gives you fine tuning over detail and noise reduction. The most popular one is going to be this one here, which is the lighting panel. So this gives you control over exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites and blacks, and also the color one as well, which gives you control over temperature, tint, vibrance and saturation. And there's also this tool here if you want to really fine tune the image. Okay, so first thing I want to do then before I do anything else is to crop out the areas of the image that I don't need, which is these parts here. The intent of the image was to kind of make it look like you're kind of peering into the plant rather than just looking at it from above. So I want to concentrate on this part here. So it's this leaf and this leaf here and the center part. So we've got a nice tight crop frame which draws your eye more to those parts of the image. So to do that, you just click the crop tool, which is here. To do the crop, you can use the handles that are on the side of the screen, or you can just use your fingers like I usually do and just crop in and get the framing correctly. So what I'm going to do is leave a little bit of room around the outside. So you can look at these edges here, just leaving a bit of room around each side so we've got a bit of space around those leaves. So I'm happy with how that looks now, and you'll see as soon as I click the tick icon in the top right hand corner, we've immediately got a kind of different viewpoint now, a kind of much closer, it's a more intimate look at this part of the plant or the hydrangea. So now I've got the crop correctly. What I usually do now is just fine tune the details. So to do that, go into the details section, and we've got control over texture, clarity, dehaze and vignette. We're not going to use dehaze in this part of the picture. I will show you that in a different video for another day. But I do want to add a bit of texture and clarity to bring out the detail on the leaves that you can see here. So if I move the texture slider back a bit, you can see how it affects the overall look of the image. You don't go too crazy with these, because what you can end up doing is adding either noise or what they call an oil painting effect, where if you zoom in you can see lots of smudginess in the background. So just be sparing and don't go too crazy with the texture tool. And in conjunction with that, I'm just going to add a little bit of clarity. So if I just move that back, you'll see it kind of leaves a very undetailed smudge effect. If I just move it up a little bit further, we've immediately got a little bit more detail on the leaves. You can see here, especially this one at the top, where if I just move back, you can see we can't see a huge amount of detail, but if I go texture and then a bit of clarity, we've now got detail here and all around the photo. So I'm not going to go any further than that. I'm happy with how that looks. So the next thing I want to do then is go into the lighting panel, and immediately the first thing I could see when I looked at this photo was the slight overexposure on this leaf on the left hand side of the image here. So to correct that, all we need to do is just use the highlights slider, and if we just look, if I go upwards, more blown out, as I start to come back, what we want to see is all of the detail on the leaf without any blown out highlights. So you can see if I go back to 0, slightly blown out this area here. If I go back a little bit more, you can see now we've got all of the detail without any light bouncing onto the leaf, but we've still got kind of a light source, if you like. You can see where the light is coming from, but it isn't blowing out all of the details. Okay, so I'm just going to go a little bit more on that one. Okay, so that's done. So the next thing I want to do then is kind of bring out this part of the image, so give it a kind of 3D kind of look. And to do that, I'm going to crush out all of the blacks in the background and these leaves here. You can see we've got a nice kind of blur effect from the camera. It's done a good job with that, but I want to make it a bit more intense at the same time. So to do that, grab the blacks handle, and if you look at those shadows, they become much deeper and richer. We're now drawing, if you look at the edges of the leaves, it's kind of much more prominent, and we're getting a very 3D like effect to the image. I'm also going to do the same with the shadows. I don't want to lose all of this together. We want to make it look like it belongs to part of something and not just isolated all by itself. So just drag down the shadows just a touch. There we go. And now we can see that your eyes are completely drawn to this section of the image, and these are just the sort of the parts of the plant in the background. So I'm not going to touch any contrast or anything, because the last thing I want to do is make those leaves look like cabbage, because it just makes things too dark. So we'll just go back to there. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that now as it is. Now one thing I want to do then is just reduce the saturation just a bit, because like I say, it was a little bit too in your face. So if I just move the saturation back just a touch, you can see just a small amount just makes it look a bit more organic, in my opinion. So looking at that, I'm quite happy with how that looks, because this leaf here looks more like what the naked eye could see, the same as this one and the rest that you see in the image as well. So the last thing I want to do then is just add a little vignette around this. So vignette is kind of like a mask around the edges of the image, which just kind of draws your eye more to the subject. So in the detail pane again, just use the vignette slider and just reduce that to the left. We can see we're getting like a shadow around the corners of the image now, which again draws the eye more to the subject in the picture. And that is it. That is basically the finished photo and how I would share it then to social media. As I said, you don't have to go crazy. The more you overdo things, you can get a little bit unstuck and you end up spoiling the overall image. But I like the way that that looks, and that is how I would share it. And that is a little insight into how I would edit this kind of photo and how it all looks once it's all finished. So if you've got any questions about anything you see in the video, please let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So in the next video, I'm going to be using Snapseed and showing you how to edit a nice landscape photo to make it look a little bit more appealing. But in the meantime, if you've got any requests or anything you'd like to see in particular, then please do let me know, and I will look to include that in a future video very soon. And don't forget, if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this, and more coming very soon on the channel. But for now, this has been my look at how I edit photos using Lightroom Mobile. My name is Dave West, and I'll catch you guys later.